Hello, everyone. Again, this is Sue, and today I am going to cover more of Biden and the way our world has been turned upside down, and the reason why we need to get a different leadership. I'm going to start with a horrible story of a small newspaper in a Kansas town that was raided by 7 police officers because they gave the name of a restaurant owner that had a previous DUI. Ooh. Now, these officers went to the business, took the newspapers, their records, their computers, their cell phones. They went to the 98-year-old woman's home who had founded it, harassed her for 7.5 hours, and probably, at the very least, assisted in her soon demise. The poor woman died after being stared at and watching her records, her home, everything being destroyed by these police officers for 2 hours. She was 98 years old. She had lived in the house for 70 years. They knew her. It was the vice mayor's home. Politics, weaponization. Oh yeah, we've got it all. It is not just Trump that is being targeted.
It's from an NBC poll. I wouldn't exactly call that right media propaganda, and I think I know why. Here's what the American people know and believe about the FBI today, sir. If you are a Trump, you'll be prosecuted. If you are a Biden, you'll be protected. And the American people that I represent are sick and tired of this double standard. It seems like every single hearing that we have in this room, we talk about the two-tier justice system of Biden's DOJ and the FBI, and as we were talking earlier, here we are again. President Trump endured an unprecedented raid at his home in Mar-a-Lago. President Biden's home, however, was respectfully browsed. President Trump is facing up to 400 years in federal prison for allegedly being in possession of classified documents he obtained as the commander-in-chief of these United States of America. And meanwhile, President Biden is facing no charges for the classified documents he had held at his time as a senator and a vice president, not the president of these United States of America. And last I checked, he had no legal authority to declassify those documents.
This issue is not about the justice, it's about staff and arrest. The justices are, I think we saw the Attorney General even double down on that.
But this is about security for the justices, and armed men showed up near Justice Kavanaugh's house to try to...
We're working together on the bill that the Senate will be able to approve of, because that's what we can pass. Whatever we want it. We want it to be able to pass the Senate. So I don't know what we're talking about because we haven't seen what the debate is. And not debate, but what the language is. There will be a bill, but nobody is in danger of it. We can't
Type of stuff that, Vladimir Putin does, that third world dictators do. This is Gestapo tactics from World War II. And it's the tragedy of it is not only does it step all over the rights of journalists. My 98-year-old mother, who had lived in that house for 70 years, was so stressed out by police being there, 7 officers at one point, 2 of them watching her for hours, seizing her equipment, destroying her ability to turn on and off the lights by voice command, doing other things of that nature, seizing a router that had nothing to do with this. I mean, there's nothing they could obtain from a router. Photographing my personal financial information that was lying on a table near there. She got so upset about this that she couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep, and the next day she died of a heart attack.
Religious leader who offers pro-life advice outside a Planned Parenthood clinic allegedly got into a verbal dispute that escalated supposedly into a shoving match. What disturbs me is that this happened, Brian, a year ago, and the alleged victim filed a civil lawsuit for money damages that was so weak it was actually dismissed by the district court judge. And yet you've got Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, and Christopher Wray, the Director of the FBI, that resurrects this case on a minor offense and uses the full force of the federal government and the FBI to descend on this guy's home to arrest him in front of his 7 children. He has
funding, as you know, and this is the same DOJ that arrests and jails peaceful pro-life protesters and targets Catholic churches in Richmond, Virginia, near my district. You stated a year ago when I asked you about it that your staff may have received information on implementation of the memo, but you had not personally received that. It's now been a year. Have you since received an update on the implementation of AG Garland's memo directing the FBI to investigate parents?
Thank you for the question. Are you asking me if I've received an update from...
Yes. Have you received an update on that memo on what's the status of the FBI targeting or investigating parents who expressed their concerns at school board meetings?
Have I received an update from my staff or from the DOJ?
Have you what kind of an update have you received? What's the status? What's your understanding of the status of the FBI efforts to investigate parents who show up at school board meetings?
There is no update of anything regarding that. There is no involvement in the NSBA letter from the Department of Education. And as a matter of fact, we strongly support engaging with families and parents, especially at the board level.
You know, the subject of that memo in October of 21 was partnership among federal, state, and local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement to address threats against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff. It begins with, in recent months, there's been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school board administrators, board members, teachers, and staff who participate in the vital work of running our nation's public schools. Was that true?
Sir, you're referencing a letter of 2 years ago.
Was that true?
Can you repeat
Are
that?
you aware of this big upswing in violence and intimidation and threats directed at school board members, teachers, and staff?
Electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified.
Is the objection in writing and signed not only by the member of the House of Representatives, but also by a senator?
Is it writing, Mr. President?
Is it signed by a senator?
Not as of yet.
In that case, the objection cannot be entertained.
Mr. President, I object to the certificate from the state of Georgia on the grounds that the electoral votes were
No
not...
debate. No debate.
I object to the certificate from the state of North Carolina based on violations of the
There is
Voting
no
Rights Act
debate.
and
There's no debate in the joint session.
I object because people are horrified by the overwhelming evidence
Section
of election
18,
interference.
Title 3 of the United States Code prohibits debate.
I objected to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Ohio.
I object to the certificate from the state of Alabama. The electors were not lawfully certified.
I object to the 15 votes from the state of North Carolina because of the massive voter suppression and the closing of polling booths.
There's no debate. There's no debate.
16
There's no debate.
and the massive voter suppression that occurs in our
The
African-American...
gentleman will suspend.
I have an objection to the electoral votes.
The objection is in writing, and I don't care that it is not signed by a member of the Senate. I do not wish to debate. I wish to ask, is there one United States Senator who will join me in this letter
There's
of
no
objection?
debate.
Objection is signed by a member of the House, but not yet by a member of the Senate.
It is over.